What a cool track. Anyway, this is Quick Art Talk Time, episode 28, Mikkel Koos speaking, and today we are going to talk about starting off simple. Pretty important, and I know that it might not be super exciting. Where are all the cool spaceships and the cool architecture and environments? Well, guess where I started? That's right, with boring stuff like this. So I can erase my comprehension of what the world consists of. And everything can be broken down in simple shapes. Now, please bear in mind that all our tips during Quick Art Talk Times and other Focal Point YouTube videos are, of course, separate from our advanced teachings at Focal Point School. However, it is still, as always, our desire to channel a little bit of tips and pointers for our community here, So without further ado, let's jump in and, let's cover a little bit of the thinking process and why you should, not ignore breaking your designs or studies, why you should break it down in simple shapes, right? Understanding, comprehending, forging that confidence in order to put anything on the canvas. Breaking down its simple shapes will allow us to really understand our shapes. Like I said, the content that you see below, you see kind of like a finished line drawing that I did during the live demo of the Intro to Hardware Design class, week 1. So this one was like a practical follow-up of what we covered that day in class. And this one was kind of like, I went kind of YOLO, skipping a little bit, I did the fundamentals on a very rudimentary level, and then I went right along proving to the students that, hey, if you abide to these fundamental points, you will be able inevitably to output a pretty decent sketch within a short amount of time. But we are here now breaking this sketch down. It's like a tiny drawing. We are now breaking this study sketch down in simple, understandable shapes. So what this is basically something that always is happening in my head. But given the experience, I just don't put it on the canvas that much often. However, it's still a good exercise to do it once in a while, even as a presentation for the students or here during these Quick Art Talk Times, because it really helps me to reformulate my thoughts. Breaking down your shapes will help you to understand your designs and studies versus just seeing them, right? And it is a step that cannot be ignored because, when you're starting out, I can imagine that when you view any object in real life, like this is the Kugelwagen, Volkswagen Kugelwagen, you look at it and right away you see, a lot of details, all right, that make it look rich, believable, and realistic. So I understand, and I was at the same spot, I understand that when you're beginning, you think that the details are, the main thing to worry about when you are making any drawing study of design. However, this is kind of disconnected from the truth because here we are now working on the spine, the frame of the design. The proportions are the first thing that we have to worry about. Realistic proportions. So in class we covered extensively how to look for proportional milestones that shapes impact one another, and by breaking them down you make it easier for you to understand them. And so we come down then here to the next point. And I think I kind of covered it already, but details in the end don't matter if your spine is flawed. And here we are establishing the spine of our study, right? This is, you can see me that it's a relatively simple drawing, but it still took me, it took me around 30 minutes to get the proportions right? So the relationship between the hood of the car and the doors of the car together with the wheels. I really need to keep that in check while also drawing it in perspective, in a custom perspective. So at the same time, I'm also thinking in 3D space. So again, I'm not only seeing what I draw, right? It is perhaps easy to just, take an image. It's well, not easy, but easier to just take an image and then straight copy what you see on that image. Here in this exercise, I really did my own quick perspective grid, and I'm redrawing that vehicle on a perspective grid that is not reminiscent of any photo that is in front of me. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's still my own custom perspective grid. So I better be aware of the shapes that I'm taking place. And yeah, take your time with that step, because it is the most important step, establishing that spine, right? It's the same like with a human. The strength of your muscles don't really matter that much if you cannot stand upright, if your spine is paralyzed or flawed, right? God forbid, of course. And so it is vital importance that you don't ignore it, because often, like with the excitement that we sometimes see in class, people still go against this advice, right? They go right into detailing, right? But where are your orthographic views? Did you really digest the shapes? Are you really aware in perceiving this actual shape? And when you redraw it multiple times from the side, from the top, then break it down in simple to understand shapes. This is the solid beginning of also being able to understand the proportions of real world, and only then jump into a dynamic sketch which can, nicely suggest the details, right? The other point is that, well, this step already really, really trains you to be a good designer, because what we're doing here is, even if you don't end up using drawing as your main skill to provide ideas to your clients, then I think having a good amount of mileage in drawing really raises your creativity levels, the perception of the real world. Because if you draw anything and you want to do it good, there is no way that you just draw anything, right? You have to extract certain ideas from the real world. So inevitably, you end up extracting ideas from the real world. And be it a study or your own concept, if you're already more advanced, you always end up looking at the real world. And when you're drawing, man, you're coming up with, that you're getting better consciously, but subconsciously as well, you're training your creativity, and you the doors of freedom kind of open up for you. I don't know how to explain it in a very short, effective level, but it's compare to a professional doing his craft all day long, and you watch him doing it every day, right? There is no way that you are going to inherit that skill just by only looking at him or her. You really have to do it yourself, create that mileage. Of course, while knowing what you do and doing it in an efficient way, just like how we teach it in class. So that mileage that you generate is extremely important, and later that drawing skill can be really used as a design skill later on, right? I am completely free as a designer to generate quick ideas while sketching. And then later, I can go into photo bashing, go into 3D, whatever. But I know that I got good because, that core skill of drawing. Drawing in the end is definitely not a skill that is dying out. Still, when I talk to any art director or any client that knows what good concept art is, they really, really are pleased to see good drawings, good ideation, quick, efficient ideation sketches. Extremely important. This step also trains your coordination. So not only drawing, it raises the awareness of the real world, as you are forced to really comprehend here the shapes of this given vehicle, drawing it especially from a custom perspective grid. You cannot just get away with redrawing it from the same angle, but you have to be able to digest the shapes from multiple angles, so you have to understand what's going on. I imagine that the most efficient version of this exercise will be that you make also the rear of this car in this fashion, right? Just with these easy shapes. The other point that I want to cover is that you are here thinking as a functional designer. Often when we see concept art, we see the one final image, that one final beautiful rendered shot. Well, we all know that with the rise of AI, rendered beautiful shots are easy to make, but yeah, even AI, man, there is no function behind it. This step will really enable you and start to equip you with the right tools and mindset to start designing in a functional way, right? It is a very, very valuable skill to have in the industry where you're able to visually communicate what is going on, not only shape-wise, but what the actual function is. A car like this, a Kugelwagen, was used to, maintain, not maintain, but transport a small amount of people or supplies across the battlefield. However, as we know, a car, in order to perform its main function, needs to have other sub-functions intact in order to reliably perform its main function. Needs to have an engine, propulsion system, differential, doors, right, which open and close, simple stuff like that. And you have to all think about it. So when you're doing this kind of step, you're already also starting to think functionally. Because here I'm also, not only training my fundamentals, perspective, drawing coordination, but you can see that I am mechanically kind of in a schematic way breaking down the shapes in color. So the main body of this car, this Kugelwagen, has a different color. I assigned the wheels with purple, with another color. And then I will assign the windshield also in a different color. And the roof will be another color. So what I'm doing here is like all movable parts that are also kind of modular will have its own color, and that really helps me to again comprehend this whole design in a more easy to understandable way. Drawing like this also in the end really helps my awareness on the next level. You can observe stuff from the real world as much as you want. And I think that is very important to keep on doing it. But when you actually take an object and you want to make a faithful study of it, then you will see shapes that you never thought about before. And that again raises our overall awareness, design sensibility, coordination. And in the end, these are crucial skills. That is the beginning of building up basically your empire. And your empire in this case is, your craft, your skill. If you really want people to pay you for your ideas, you better start with comprehending the real world and being able to digest proportions from the real world, right? Anyway, it appears that we are running out of time. I will let this one finish. The roof is left to do. But I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed and you were able to extract some pointers out of this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey, it really helps us, all right? Like all the other YouTube channels. You enjoy it, right? Like, subscribe. It's as easy as that, right? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and bye.